Evening, Guam. You're watching PNC's News Now. I'm Janella Carrera. We're broadcasting live in Guam and in Saipan.
And I'm Clint Rogel. Thanks for tuning in. Topping your news tonight, a 22-month-old baby girl died this morning after being brought in from a drowning incident near the Outrigger Hotel in Tumon Beach at around dusk on Sunday. According to GMH spokeswoman June Perez, the baby was pronounced dead at 2:12 a.m. On Saturday, a couple of tourists were pulled from the waters at Retidian by locals. They were pronounced dead at the hospital. Retidian officials closed the beach today for safety reasons. PNC spoke to one of the witnesses of the Retidian drownings. Here's more. Retidian Wildlife Refuge officials closed the beach today because of rough water and Portuguese man-o-war. Technically, people were allowed into the refuge and onto the beach, but they were being told to leave the water. On Saturday, 2 people drowned at Retidian. According to eyewitness Ben Guelo Rosario, the victims were Korean tourists, a husband and a wife who were on Guam celebrating their honeymoon. Rosario is a member of the nonprofit organization called TASA, and he said one of the rescuers who pulled the victims from the waters was one of the younger members of the organization, Jerome Laguatnia.
And he's 16 years old, and he actually helped the 2 couples. The lady, as he said, the lady was too close out to the reef, and the wave came and pulled her out. And the husband came and tried to help her, and the husband got pounded by the second wave.
Rosario says Laguatnia and his cousin battled rough currents to pull the couple in ashore.
After they brought them up, some of the Koreans ran there and started, CPRing. So it tires you, So I asked them to, have me do it.
Rosario says he then began to help administer CPR while they waited for Guam Fire Department crews to arrive.
How long until rescue units arrived?
After we started, probably another 20 minutes. Yeah, so yeah, it's a far place,
And the road to Retidian is riddled with potholes, which, no doubt, made it much more difficult for GFD units to get there.
Anybody that goes up to Retidian, please take care. Water's not, it's not cooperating up there, all the time, so be careful when you're up there.
There was also a near drowning in PD on Sunday. GFD PIO Lieutenant Ed Artero says units were called to the USO beach at 12:24 p.m. on Sunday afternoon, where a 36-year-old male was found conscious and responsive. GMH spokeswoman June Perez says the man is currently in stable condition at the hospital.
The proposed closure of the Deadido transfer station is being met with some criticism from regular patrons of the facility. At a site visit today, an employee of the Deadido transfer station says customers have been complaining that closing the station will be an inconvenience for many northern residents. District Court Chief Judge Francis Tidinko Gatewood held a site visit today at the Deadido transfer station because of a proposal to permanently close the facility that's been operating for decades. It's a proposal made by the government of Guam in an effort to save money and, in the long run, come into compliance with the solid waste consent decree.
We believe that the Harmon Industrial transfer station can accommodate that. I believe that's also been attested to by the community body through Mayor Savares.
Although Federal Receiver Operations Manager Chase Anderson agrees that the Harmon Transfer Station indeed has the ability to accommodate Deadido's customers and trash, he says the receiver, Gershman, Bruckner, and Bratton, had already been planning to keep the Deadido facility open.
Is that facility sufficient to be able to accommodate the load that comes in here?
Yes.
Given the proximity, does it make sense to have 2 in the same general area?
We were planning to have both, in this, one in Deadido, the most populated area, and then one in Harmon to replace what was at the central.
In fact, Anderson says even with the opening of the Harmon transfer station, the Deadido location still shares about 60% of waste being dumped on island. Equipment operator leader Bob Manibusan, who's been working at the Deadido transfer station for years, says residents are upset about the proposal.
With a lot of the customers that have been coming, I guess the media has been saying they're looking at closing the transfer stations. They're asking a lot of questions, but You know, I can't give them answers. I've tried to move customers down there.
And?
To Harmon?
To the new Harmon station?
Yeah, and they don't want. We have elderly, we have people who can't afford the trash services and fixed income. You know, you have people holding their trash for a month and coming here to dump. You know, we have a lot of traffic over the weekends.
How many people come here per day on the average?
About 50-some people, but on the weekends it goes up to 70, 80, 90.
A day?
On the weekends, yes. Well, you know, they're talking about the facility and everything, but they need to look at the people that come here. It's not the facility, it's the people that need to come here, can't afford.
Although no decision has been made, Guam EPA Administrator Eric Palasha says his agency is already working with the Attorney General's office to craft procurement documents for the closure of the Deadido transfer station.
Visitor arrivals from China are expected to increase next week for the Chinese New Year. This year, 3,000 guests will arrive on charter flights recently announced by Dynamic Airways. PNC's Betsy Brown joins us to tell us more about the Chinese New Year. And Betsy, that number seems big. Are we expecting more tourists this year?
That's right, Clint. Dynamic Airways announced that they will offer 15 charter flights this year. That's actually 5 more charters than we had come last year. And those nonstop flights will run from February 10th to March 6th. But with so many people coming to the island, it'll be difficult to find a hotel room. The Chinese New Year is fast approaching, and here on Guam, that means thousands of guests will be coming to spend their holiday. But for those who haven't made arrangements, it'll be difficult to find a hotel room.
Unfortunately, we don't have any rooms available.
Jenny Kim is the China, Korea, and Russia market manager for the Holiday Resort and Spa. She says guests begin making arrangements for the Chinese New Year far in advance. GVB just announced that Dynamic Airways will bring 3,000 tourists through 15 charter flights from 5 different Chinese cities. Many of those guests will stay at the Holiday Resort. Those arrangements were made in August. Since then, Kim says the hotel has been preparing to accommodate a full house.
Yes, we do need an extra staff, and also the rooms needs to be get ready. We have 252 rooms available here, but then we need to use the whole room during the duration. Yeah, all the rooms has to be get ready.
And to make their Chinese guests feel welcome, the hotel hired 3 employees who speak the language last year. With the growth of the China tourism market, General Manager Kiyoshi Kawano says that's been helpful throughout the year.
Especially from November, United started Shanghai Guam route, and hopefully they're going to increase the number of the flights.
And it's not just the Chinese that celebrate at this time of year. Tune into News Now tomorrow. I'll tell you what the Lunar New Year means for tourism from Korea.
All right, thanks, Betsy. We look forward to that report tomorrow. So the Dusit Thani will not be open in time for the Chinese New Year, but they are preparing to host guests by this spring. The new hotel is now in the recruitment phase and will hold a job fair at the University of Guam this Saturday. Public Relations Manager Mindy Uggins says the hotel plans to hire 350 employees in 100 different types of positions. The positions are in the fields of finance, information technology, food and beverage, housekeeping, and more. She says the hotel is scheduled to have a soft opening in April.
And that will include at least all of the main areas, about 250 rooms, as well as 1 restaurant. And then we'll be doing a staggered approach, opening up additional banquet facilities, as well as the convention center, the additional restaurants. There'll be 6 dining and entertainment venues at the hotel, as well as the additional rooms, bringing those on board for a full grand opening, hopefully by June.
The job fair will be held on Saturday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the UOG Fieldhouse. If you'd like to see what positions are available or fill out an application ahead of time, you can visit the Dusit Thani Guam website at dusitguamresort.com.
The latest numbers show the Guam Visitors Bureau had a clean audit for fiscal year 2014, but the weaknesses in the Japan market were also evident in the report. According to the Office of Public Accountability, GVB closed last fiscal year with a net loss of $735,000 because of increased marketing efforts aimed at making up for the declining Japanese tourism market. In fact, GVB spent $2.4 million more in its marketing campaign in fiscal year 14 than they did in fiscal year 13. While it has paid off as the Korean market continues to rise, Japan arrivals are seeing a historic low of 61% of the island's overall tourism numbers. In addition, Audit Supervisor Rodolin Gerardo says the Russian market helped to offset the declining Japan arrivals, but that may change this year as the only direct flight from Russia to Guam was canceled in August of last year.
Did that cancellation affect fiscal year 2014 numbers?
Actually, no. If you really look at it, they actually had an increase. In 2013, they only had about 6,000, less than 6,000 in arrivals from the Russian market, Russian tourists. And so in 2014, they actually almost tripled that. They were at 18,000.
Oh, I see.
So
Okay.
it actually didn't, yeah, it didn't really affect it. But then I'm curious to see what the 2015 numbers are going to look like. Yeah.
You can read the financial highlights of GVB's audit on our website at pacificnewscenter.com.
All right, so coming up next.
Yeah, Blake Watson and someone.
I don't know.
Is it you?
Yeah.
How can you be here and there?
I know.
How can you be there and here? Let's just
I have
check
magic.
it out.
Where are you going? Sports, not that far away. Stick around because we will talk Super Bowl. I've enlisted the services of my good friend slash co-worker, Miss Janella Carrera, former football correspondent. Janella, who you got?
Lakers! Woo!
Lakers.
Sorry, wrong
sport. Wrong sport. We'll teach Janella in the